what I've worked out is, and if you have a look, there is a, I'm just going down here, as you can see here, there is where the bolt goes through. So I've got to make sure that the universal joint, or the bolt of the universal joint, meets there. Okay, there's no indentation for a bolt to go in there, however there's one there. So what I must do is to make sure that the bolt is, or this here, is in the correct position. So I need to connect that first, and then we'll see what at. So it's an easy job, but it's just making sure that it's centered, or the self-cancelling is centered on the steering wheel. Okay, I think tripods, I think a magnetic tripod would be the best option. I think these tripods are just a little bit funny in terms of trying to position them. So let's get the universal joint again, and this time I'm going to make sure that it is in the center where I want it to be. So it needs to be there. That's where it needs to be. I'll be double checking each time. However, let's have a go. So this time, actually that's in the wrong position because it has to. And it's connected already. Right, let's pull that out. That's it. So it's going to have to go that way. So that's where it needs to be. So that needs to be there. So actually get that on like that. Bit fiddly, but I'm getting there. Thought it was an easy job. It's actually not as easy as what you think. But what turned out to be an easy job is not that easy in terms of centering it and getting the bolt in the correct position. I've got the joint centered, and as you can see, there's an indentation which the bolt goes through, and there's an indentation on the rack, and again those bolts have to meet up. I've centered it, I've not tightened it up yet, but I just want to stress the point of correcting the self leveling, or the self cancelling indicator. I'm sure it's fine now. If you just look and you just go through to the wheel, I'm going to have to remove the wheel, and I'm going to center the wheel and take it from there. If I just go over here, and I think the battery's been on about, I've had breaks and things like that, but I think it's fully charged, and that'll just maintain. I've got the heat on, got my TV on, and I'm just basically tinkering on. So I'm happy with that now. All I've got to do is to tighten it up, make sure it's tight, make sure it's centered, but it's solid enough. That's one thing, it's solid. You can buy kits to center them, but I really don't see the point. I really don't, because it'll find its own way. I'm going to spin the wheel with them loose, and hopefully it'll find its home. However, that's that's in now, and both joints are home here in the shaft, going down to the steering rack, and this is going into the steering column. It's been greased, and it's solid enough. So let's now see if I can do this with the camera. I don't know what you can see there. I'm sure you can. Let's now tighten it up, and let's find the extension, which is here. Spanner. Best thing about it, I've got to do this with, I don't know if people of a certain age have to do this, but I've got to work without my glasses on or I can't see, which is not ideal, because I've got varifocals. However, right, that's on there. Got varifocals. However, I think I need another eye test, and I'm sure there's a lot of people of a certain age, don't want to say how old I am, which I feel, I don't know what the next stage is. Another eye test, more varifocals, I really don't know. However, I've got to work without my glasses on, which is not ideal. It's really not ideal. However, that'll go into there. That should tighten up. You're going to say, well, how can he, you know, another spanner, which is a 1/2 inch. So what I need to do now is to find another 1/2 inch spanner, which I'm sure I can. Give me a few minutes without my glasses on. Let's see what we've got here. Too big. Let's have a look. Got absolutely tons of spanners, metric, imperial, you name it, I've got it. And this is the problem. You can probably hear it jingling. That's going to be imperial. No, it's not. Right, let's have a look at this one. It might, I know it's going to be, oh my god. So, this is much better than a ratchet. Some people think, oh, I've got to get them really, really tight. There's no reason why you've got to. I know there's torque settings, but that's tight enough. It's not going to come loose. I will be checking over the weeks of, you know, if it's still tight when I start running it, and it's, you know, in the next few months. I honestly think, in terms of weather-wise, if you don't have to take your classic out in the salt and grit, why take it out? There's some people, you know, daily drivers. I understand. And I know some people who run MGs as daily drivers, and I understand that. But if you don't have to, why do it? Some people say you should use them all year round. Yeah, I do completely agree. And I do look for dry days. You know, if it's a dry day, I know I'll take it out, give it a run. If it needs fuel, put it in, just check things. But if it's salt on the ground and it's damp, I don't see the point. I really don't. That's it. That's definitely tight. I tightened that with the ratchet, and I think it's far better with the ratchet. It's quite difficult to trying to hold it. I'm not on the. I want to double check that again. Oh, let's get underneath the car. Let's get that spanner. I really don't know where I've put my glasses. They will turn up, but the best thing about it is you can't even see. Oh, I can't even see, I should say, which is absolutely brilliant. However, this is completed and I'm a happy chap, because I always had to, I got into a routine of when I was turning left that I would cancel the indicator. But again, like everybody, could be tired, I might use the car for work, tired, had a bad day and forget. And it's taken me, I would say, about an hour. I've cleaned it up, found washers. I learned this morning that about the indentation on this joint here. This is a brand new steering rack, made in oh my god, where is it made? Argentina. I was going to buy a Recon steering rack, but I'm led to believe they will recondition the side, which is worn, broken, and leave the other side and just paint it. And that's what I was told. I don't know if that's true, but I decided I would buy a new steering rack. So it's a new rack. Again, you've got to fill it, or 100, I think it's 75 mils or 175 mils of EP90 oil that goes in your diff. I basically just took the cap off and filled it, worked the steering rack left and right, and left it, and it found its own level. It came out to the boots, so I may have overfilled it. However, I think it's better to overfill the rack rather than to underfill. I did go over I think it was 175 millilitres of EP90. I'm going to do that again. I'll fill it with oil. I'm going to continue as part of the service, the same as, you know, greasing your kingpins and stuff like that. And I think it's part. I'm just going to do it as part of the service. I think this year I'm going to look at, you know, the tracking. I think it's 2 degrees toe in. So anybody's getting their tracking done, 2 degrees toe in. So I've got a good idea here. I don't know why I'm doing this when I can just spin the rack. I can just spin it. I think it's because I'm talking that I'm doing this. Let's just do a little bit more. Oh dear, I'll get it. So I'm going to put that on there, and then that on there, and that's it. That's not going to come loose. I don't want to force them. I really don't believe in over tightening bolts. I really don't. I don't see the point of it. Why? Some people say, oh, they don't come loose. But I've heard people say, oh, they thread them. I just don't see the point. So I'm happy with that. It's that's a job completed. I'm happy. I hope you found this informative. Anybody who's got an MGB, but also I'm sure in, you know, Triumphs, Morris, Austins, they're going to have this. And if you self-cancel an indicator, or you have problems that it, you know, it cancels one side but not the other, it could be something like this. And I think just a little bit of time and patience, and corrected it. I think any DI want-to-be mechanic, tinkerer, I think I want to be called a DIY tinkerer. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think it's a sense of achievement. That's absolutely brilliant. Now I'm just going to check it on the steering rack in terms of the horn push, but I'm sure that's everything. It just slotted into place and it found its home. So now you can see there what I've got to do. That's the horn push there. But in terms of, yeah, that's fine. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go any. It can't go any further down. That is the adjustment there. That is. It's sat home. I'll put that back together with the plastic which shroud which goes over. I've greased where it would cancel. Don't put too much grease on. It does get hot. Why does it get hot? It's because of the power drain from the indicators. I live close to the city. Indicators are going all the time. I find that the shroud gets actually warm. Not hot, but just warm. And I think it's because of all the power which is being drawn through the wires for the indicators. Same as the headlights, I'm gonna fit relays, and I think I'll be going down the LED route this year with the indicators, which then will actually cure. I don't think it's a problem. It's just any power draw. You can see the thickness of wires. If not a lot of power was going through these, there wouldn't be this. You know, there wouldn't be that thickness. There's power going through there, not a huge amount. However, there's power going through there, and you know, any power draw will create heat. So not too much grease there, and I'm just making sure that that's clean, and that's it. Because again, I've got a great story which happened to my dad, and this is about, oh my, it must be at least 35, 40 years ago when I was a child. I'm starting to give my age away now. When a indicator, or column, not the column, but the indicator itself, this unit here, caught fire, and it was down to dust and grease, and the car was not that old. You know, I think it was maybe 5 or 6 years old. Why it took fire, I really don't know. Luckily, there was a stream nearby. There was cloths, and my dad eventually, you know, he put it out. But as a child, I was shocked. So ever since then, I always think, well, yeah, you know, it should be greased or oiled. However, not too much. And I know I'm repeating myself because I'm just making sure that that's sitting right. But it is. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to over and out. Please like and subscribe. I know some people, mechanics will go, well, this took far too long. People who are DIY tinkerers and have the time will go, yeah, I can understand why he's cleaned the parts, and just took my time really. And now I've just learnt about this, about, you know, how the shaft sits in there. The shaft can't come out because of the bolts. So it's not like I'm going to lose my steering, because the bolts hold the shaft in, and you've got the, you know, the vice when you tighten the nuts up, or the bolts I should say. So it can't, you know, you're not going to lose steering, but it's just best to make sure that everything is sitting right, for safety reasons, and just taking my time. But that's a huge improvement. What I should do now, and I think I'm going to have some lunch, is to remove the steering wheel, and I'm going to center it. I've got another wheel to go on. I've got a wooden steering wheel. This is a 15-inch. I want to go down to 14, and it's because of this. My knee. It doesn't really catch, but however, you know, I think just a little bit more room will be sufficient. So that's one of the things which I'll probably do today, is center the wheel with the indicator, because I know where it should sit, and then I should actually take it out. But let's just see. There's a few more jobs I want to do. I've got to fix the washer. I'm going to reposition that. So that's another job I would like to do before I start putting things back together. Okay, right. I think you'll probably see another video or tagged onto this of just getting the wheel off. I know, you know, Universal Motors is really good, but I think I'll try and get the wheel off, and I'll try and center it. And that's just another thing. You know, it's never ever going to be perfect. You know, I'm sure if I get my tracking done on the car, that may alter the position of the steering wheel. However, I know how it's done. I know how to do it. If I want it to be perfect, which I said I don't think I can, or you know, semi-perfect. If you can never get semi-perfect, in terms of centering the wheel, I'll have a look at that shaft again. But I'm so happy that is now fixed, because it's just been getting on my nerves, and every time you turn a corner it just sparks a memory, or it sparks I need to cover that. So right, let's center the had the nut. I followed the instructions of Universal Motors or University Motors of taking not the nut off, but protecting the threads on there and hitting them with a mallet with my feet under there, and it's actually stuck fast. To be honest, you can buy steering wheel pullers, and I'm going to look this afternoon at a steering wheel puller. That's the best bit. I don't want to start, you know, whacking hell out the column when a puller would do the job. So that's, you know, this is one of the problems, is you know doing things like this, is that, you know, I need to get the wheel off. I need to get the wheel off anyway to put my wooden wheel on, which I've restored, and it's just one of those things. I'm upset. No, I'm not upset. It's just one of those things. I need to put the shroud back on. I'll put it all back together, but I know when I'll be driving, the position of the wheel is going to be like that. However, if you look there, it's centered. I want to draw your attention to how the column or how the indicators work. It's just a metal pin which goes over a contact. It's, you know, you got to remember, this is those, you know, cars of the 60s and 70s. They are quite primitive. I don't know what modern cars are like, but these are quite primitive. That's the pin there. If it doesn't work, you know, you can't really take them apart, but you can check pins and you can clean things. And you know, I've had this apart. I had to solder it because one of the sides was not working. I've been told that the quality of parts now, when you order through catalogs or online, is not the standard of maybe 20 or 30 years ago. However, you can buy the parts. But again, it's just worth knowing for people who have just bought an MG, or people who have just started restoring or tinkering with cars. It's worth knowing you can just buy a new one. It's about £25–30. It's not an awful great deal of money. If I'm not happy with this, I think I would get another one, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. So now we're going to look for a puller to take this wheel off and center it. But I'm just going to put it back together, which is piece of cake, and I may take it out later on. Okay.